All right, guys, so our penultimate topic here before we get into our WandaVision Episode 8 spoiler review or discussion, whatever you want to call it, is two quick little cool things, in my opinion, cool things. But we just got word like not too long ago that Lucasfilm Games is quote unquote back, right? They spun up we had LucasArts back in the day behind a ton of great games, like Jedi Academy, the Pod Racer game, Republic Commando, which are the two things I'm going to be talking about now. But amongst a huge other list, you had what was Rogue Squadron. Just they back in the day, LucasArts was pumping out games like left and right. All right, like Force Unleashed 2, stuff. Just they were good games for the most part. Most of them were really good games. And we got some word here as of late. There's obviously one series, at least as far as Star Wars fans are concerned, that everyone has always wanted a sequel to. They've wanted film adaptations to it, remakes or whatever, and that's KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, right? One or two, whatever. People have been wanting a new iteration. KOTOR 3 was supposed to come out way back when, died, didn't come out, unfortunately. But there's been a lot of whispers, especially ever since this Lucasfilm Games announcement came by, that they were actually going to be making a KOTOR like remake, kind of along the lines of Demon Souls for the PS5, right? Something along those lines. Not by Bluepoint though. There were some tinfoil hat theories out there where people were referencing Aspire Media. It's a company that has been known for doing like remasters of games, etc., etc. Not going to waste too much time on it, but eventually people were noticing that they had Aspire Media had a bunch of job postings that were Star Wars related. So that immediately got people, because everyone wants KOTOR, they just thought KOTOR. But it doesn't seem like that was the case, because just recently, this past week, two games I did mention in that Republic Commando and then Star Wars Pod Racer, those are being relaunched on the Nintendo Switch and PS4. So that's the games that Aspire Media had been hiring Star Wars people for, like been hiring for Star Wars related properties. Now, that's not to say that they're not also doing KOTOR, but we do have 100% confirmation that Republic Commando is one of them, which I'm very excited for. John, did you play either of these games? Because we were just talking not too long ago about how much like I loved playing the Pod Racer game back in the day. This is a fun, stupid little game to play. Nothing groundbreaking by any means. But I mean, Republic Commando had like a 10 out of 10 rating with like everyone loved this game. It's a great game too. I don't know how well it's gonna live up. I haven't played it since it came out. So I don't know how it's gonna really stack up against more modern day shooters and everything. I kind of would have wished they just made like a new one in a lot of ways. But because like Demon Souls was totally worth remaking. It was the easiest of the Soulsborne games in
Souls.
all honesty. But I don't know. It's a great game, and the world is really great. I ate the shit out of that. I ate it up, dude. Like that game was great. It was fun to play. Totally worth it. It was more than just like an HD remaster in a lot of ways. This though, these don't even really. I mean, I'm just gonna be real. They don't really look all that much better. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you looking forward to this coming out? Did you play the original ones back in the day? Where are you at with these?
So Pod Racer was my shit back in the day, man.
Hell
I
yeah, it was.
loved the pod racing game. Like especially too. I mean, there's going to be a bit of nostalgia with this, just getting back to a game I loved. But at the time, I don't know if, to me, the way I remember it, and maybe my memory is wrong, but this was like the only thing that tied into Phantom Menace. This was the only video game that came out that tied into the Phantom Menace at the time that
Mm-hmm.
came back out. And um, at that time, you like Star Wars hype was for real. It had been years since, over a decade since we had gotten, Return of the Jedi, and there had been some Star Wars stuff here and there. You had the extended universe novels and stuff that had come out, but as a kid, like that stuff, I wasn't going out and reading the novels. Like this was my like reintroduction to Star Wars, and I was super hyped for it. And yeah, I love the pod racing game. I never got into Republic Commando. I don't know what systems that was on. I feel like maybe it wasn't available on the systems I had, because I did play like I was a Nintendo kid back in the day, so I had like the GameCube, and I had um the Rogue Squadron games and those. I don't remember Republic Commando being on there. If it was, then I just missed it somehow.
It may
But
have been
yeah, I'm
PC and
definitely interested
Dreamcast.
in trying it now.
I can't remember.
Okay,
Let me look it
that
up.
would account for why I didn't really have any don't have any knowledge of it. But yeah, I'm I we were talking the other day. I was surprised to see that this was announced for the PS4, considering we've already jumped console generations to the new Xbox and PS5. Um, I'm hoping, since I have a PS5 and it's hooked up and my PS4 is not hooked up, that they
It was on
they make
Xbox.
this backwards compatible. Was it on Xbox? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I was just playing Halo at the time and didn't want to jump into a Star Wars first person shooter because I didn't like I was more about lightsabers and stuff than I
Mm-hmm.
was Republic Commandos. Who knows? Who knows what my justification was? But anyway, I don't know. But I am eager now because the Star Wars hype train is back and it's real, and so I'm ready to try anything Star Wars. So it would be nice for me. I mean, it'll be like a brand new game for me. Some outdated
Yeah,
graphics, like you said, but it will be like a brand new game. I won't know a thing about it, so that's
that's
exciting.
the only downside with it, and, like, I get it, not every game can be completely rebuilt from the ground up like Demon Souls and everything, but it is kinda disappointing that this just seems like a port as opposed to any sort of remake or remaster. Like, I mean, the assets look, like, almost like they did back in the day. Like,
Sure.
it's kinda disappointing. There was a third party, someone was like a fan-made remaster of, Pod Racer that someone made. I actually downloaded it, never installed it, but they rebuilt everything in Unreal Engine, so, like, everything looked like a new version of Unreal Engine because the Republic Commando was and everything, they were made in the old like, an older version of Unreal Engine, but this was a modern update to the game. And, like, I've watched, like, the gameplay trailers of it and everything. It looked great. I mean, it's just like a game that would be made today, the high res textures, not
Yeah.
polygons everywhere like we get now, or like we're getting in these ports here, like back in the day. So that's the only downside about them, but I am very excited that they're coming out. They couldn't have picked 2, like, more beloved games really other than KOTOR to do this for, but KOTOR has kind of already had PC ports and everything like that. They haven't had, like, updates or anything and, like,
Yeah.
texture updates or anything like that, but you can go get freaking KOTOR 1 and 2 on Steam. You can get it on the Mac store. Like, they have those ports. They've had them
You
forever, so
You can get it on Xbox right now. I mean, you might even be
yeah.
able to get it on PlayStation too.
Mhm.
Um, do you think that these releases in particular is Lucasfilm kind of testing the waters to see what kind of interest there is in games like this or reviving these franchises? Or, I mean, I say franchises, they weren't really a franchise to begin with. They were kind of individual standalone games, but do you think that they're trying to get an idea of what fans want and what fans will buy, and this is kind of a way for them to test that?
I think in some ways for sure, because it's definitely safer and cheaper for them to port these 2 games out than it is to even rebuild them for one, but for them to dump a bunch of money into making a new pod racing game,
Mhm.
if no one gives a shit, you know what I mean? Like, because they don't know. Like, everyone
Or
loved
even
playing it back in the day, but, like, is it even gonna be a thing? Like, but I mean, Battlefront 2, like, when Epic Games had their free week of it where you could download it for free, their numbers for Battlefront 2 went through the freaking roof. They had
yeah,
more online concurrent players in that week for Battlefront 2 than they had, like, throughout the entire game's lifespan. So, like, there's still people out there who wanna play a Star Wars shooter, for instance, because that's what Battlefront is, but just Star Wars games in general. Like, there's obviously a calling for it. Republic Commando, definitely a good one to do. There's, like, again, one of the that and Pod Racer are both some of the most beloved nostalgic games from them. I mean, aside from, like, I think the only things that would maybe top it would be, like, Jedi Academy and KOTOR, really.
yeah.
That's it, but then everyone loves those 2 games, so I would love to see them actually make new versions of both of them. I don't know why they never did, to be honest with you. I guess I could get why they never made a pod racing game because there was only the one pod race in all of Star Wars, so and it was everything that you saw in that movie was in the game. So I don't really know what
Yeah.
they just make new stuff, I guess. But
Well, and pod racing for a long time, The Phantom Menace was the one movie out of all of them that was the most looked down upon.
hmm
So it had that negative connotation with it, and then, thankfully, I guess, from the Phantom Menace's perspective, thankfully the sequel trilogy was made and it got elevated back up, because of what everybody had to deal with the sequel trilogy. So
true.
it isn't quite derided as much as it had been. So maybe this is the opportunity for them to get back into that world.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I could totally see him like wanting to. It'd be a smart way for them to test the waters and see what people kind of are interested in as far as Star Wars games are concerned. Because I mean, realistically, like I don't know, like it's kind of hard to say what, especially Star Wars fans, what they actually want. Like I said, like the comic book fan, like we're a fickle group of people. Anybody who's a fan of any fandom, we don't know what we want. All right, we think we know, but we really don't. Like, we're never satisfied. This is how it is. You know, what I mean, no one's ever satisfied. I think doing this though does give them an idea of like, okay, if Republic Commando pops off, maybe they'll at least be able to see that there's interest in shooters still. So maybe that'll help them move like Battlefront 3 forward more. I don't know, since they've
Sure.
kind of opened up the Star Wars license. It was exclusively with EA, and now they've just that's not a thing anymore. Anybody can make Star Wars games pending Lucasfilm Games approval. It kind of opens up the floodgates for like anything's possible at this point. Because if anybody has an idea for a game, they just got to pitch it to them, and then maybe they'll be like Netflix and just start greenlighting everything just like they used to back in the day. Because like I said, off the top, man, LucasArts back in the day were pumping out games left and right, dude. Like there were a ton in the early 2000s. Like they were popping off, and then
Yeah.
they just died. So it was really disappointing. But we'll just have to see. I hope we get a new KOTOR. That's what I want. I want a new Battlefront game. I want like the penultimate, just best Battlefront game. No bullshit where you're like sticking to canon. Like there's all the heroes in the game. You play with them all. Don't let people play the game. You know what I mean? That's my biggest
Yeah.
thing with these games is like don't limit what you can do. Like to some degree have progression, yeah, but like with Battlefront 1, it was, like, such a like, they tried to lock it into only being that core group of like, that timeline, so, like, you couldn't have Maul, you couldn't have Clone Wars stuff, you couldn't have this, and it's like, no one wants that. No, you wanna play a Star Wars game, you wanna be able to freaking play a Star Wars game, not play a
Yeah.
limited boxed in version, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you
I
have
agree.
anything else you wanted to add?
No, I mean, I think that this is yet more good news. The only thing I'll say is I think this is more good news that, EA's vice grip on the Star Wars franchise has been loosened, and
Mhm.
we're able to see these other companies come in and do something with these things that, like this, I would have never in a million years thought, oh, Star Wars pod racing game. That's something I really want to play again. Or I hadn't even thought about that game in a decade, at least, if not more. And
Mhm.
but then when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's awesome. I love that game. I'll definitely pick it up and play it some.
Yeah, 100%. That's the thing, EA did do Fallen Order, well, Respawn did, but it was still a subsidiary of EA.
Sure.
Great game. Battlefront 2, they really turned around. Battlefront 2 is like I'd go as far as saying Battlefront 2, as it is now and as it was after they fixed everything, is a great game as well. Still lacking in some
Mhm.
areas, but it's a huge step above the first Battlefront game that DICE did. So, I really like what they did with Battlefront 2 in the end. Fallen Order was great, so I definitely wanna see them continue making those, like, I want another Fallen Order game, I want a Battlefront 3, just make them, better than they were before, don't go backwards, but I am
Yep.
very excited that all these other companies are gonna be I'm just excited what we're gonna see. We got Ubisoft making some open world one, so we'll just have to see. That'll hopefully be good. I just want to see more. I want more Star Wars games. I think everybody does, really. Like, why
Oh
not?
yeah.
10
Totally.
years, EA only came out with like 3 Star Wars games, dude. It's ridiculous. Like, and Squadrons is like super niche, and so I one thing too, I really want them just to merge the Starfighter like game mode in Battlefront was garbage, but Squadrons is actually really good. So I think they should just integrate those. You know what I mean? For like
That'd be a
Battlefront
good
3,
call.
just have
Definitely.
Squadrons game mode kind of. That's it. Like, you know, that's just
Expand
me
it
though.
out a little more,
Yeah.
a few more chips and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, question is, guys, what do you think about this? Are you excited for, you know, to play the Republic Commando again? Are you excited to play the pod racing game again? Because I know I am. It's gonna be fun. I do wish again that they were like more of an HD remaster or something along those lines, as opposed to just kind of a port to the newer consoles. But either way, they're there. They're gonna have support. You know, hopefully, I'm not 100% sure. Hopefully, you can play Pod Racer online. That might be kind of fun. I don't know if you can, but I know it showed co-op, split screen co-op, but you could do that back in the day. So I don't know. The question is though, what do you think about this? And are you also hoping that they make a damn KOTOR 3 at some point? Let us know down in the comment section below.